Assalamu alaikum, everybody. We are going to start a new writer, that is the dramatist, Federico Garcia Lorca. He was born in 1898 and he died in 1936. He was an Spanish poet, a playwright, painter, and pianist, piano player, and he was musician too. He was born in Spain, a small town near Granada. Since his childhood, liked music and poetry. He studied law at the Granada University. Then he studied writing in Madrid University. His father was rich landlord. His mother was teacher and pianist. He was arrested and killed during the Spanish Civil War. Basically, he had a lot of influence because Spain because of his writings. So he was a great poet. He is a great playwright because when we read his dramas, so he's a painter and piano player. So he basically talks about the folklore of Spain, and he has got his writings published, and he became very famous. So he influenced a lot on the culture, tradition, and society of Spain. This is the introduction about him. Federico Garcia Lorca, Spanish poet, playwright, and we are going to study his drama. Later on, I'm going to introduce this. His work, writings, the poetry collection. Basically, he was a famous poet. The poetry collection, Gypsy Ballads and Lament for Bullfighter, and then his dramas, Blood Wedding, Yerma, and the House of Bernardra Alba. So, House of Bernardra Alba is a famous drama, and due to this drama, he became famous. Uh, Overall theme of his writings. Basically, when we talk about theme of his writings, we talk about his poetry, his talk about drama, his prose writing. So his writing include poetry, drama, and prose. Theme of love, lust, sterility, and aesthetics. Basically, when love is a major theme in this short stories, novels, and dramas and poetry of many writers. But again, you know that lust is also can be an aspect, can be an element because there is no sincerity and honesty in it. And this is a women issue, sterility when women do not produce children. So she is neglected by the society, and society does not value those women. And as you know that aesthetic, when you love the work of an art, and when you find pleasure in it, it is aesthetics means art for art's sake. When you seek pleasure in reading the work of an art, so this has become aesthetics. His writings are very much famous and peculiar. You can say that he has used certain symbols in it. So there is a there are many symbols in his writings. So many symbols are used by writer in his writings, just like moon, the horse, the blood, metal. Just moon symbolizes beauty, and moon symbolizes many things. The horse symbolizes force. The horse symbolizes his blood, and the blood symbolizes many things. And at the same time, metal symbolizes many things. Metal symbolizes hardness. So these symbols are being used in his writings, and these basically symbolizes. Just moon does not only symbolize beauty. Men, moon symbolizes eroticism and other things too. So it depends upon the situation and the circumstances and in which the characters have been put. His poetry is about Spain's culture, folklore. He depicts tragedy of life in his writing. Uh, Basically, Lorca, he is talking about life. Even his comedies are impossible comedies, you can say that, because there is a lot of elements in which he depicts pain of life. So as compared to happy side of life, he basically depicts pain in his writings. Farces, comedies, and tragedies are important, and in his writings, you see tragedy is about sufferings, painful situation, and comedy is happy ending of the plays after internal and inner and outer conflicts. And farces also, you see that characters are in unsuitable, awkward situations, and we, the audience and the readers, are laughing at their uh, traits, physiognomies, and then their personality, the past. So he has used metaphor in his work. There are These are the two aspects, important traits of his writing. He has used metaphors in his writings. There's a comparison, as we know that there are two types of comparisons. The one is simile, whenever we use like as, uh, just like she is as beautiful as rose, the simile. And the camel is chip of desert, the metaphor, because we say that one thing is another thing. Camel is chip of desert, we use metaphor. So symbolism and using metaphor are the important aspects of his writing of uh, Federico Garcia Lorca. Yes. So these are the themes of his writings. And yes, we are going to start his play that is When 5 Years Pass. Now it is the play you are going to read. What is there in the play? Generally, we talk about this play When 5 Years Pass. There is a element of surrealism and Andalusian tradition. Basically, first of all, we come to surrealism. Now, surrealism is basically movement in art and literature uh, that was developed between World War One and World War One and World War Two. That movement developed in art and literature. What is the main element of this movement? There is a combination of conscious and unconscious. As we know that Sigmund Freud, basically he is saying that we are conscious, we know everything what is happening all around, but at the same time, our unconscious mind is working, is in enterprise, is in play also. And those people who are successful when they combine their conscious and unconscious at the same time. So it means that there are certain signals from unconsciousness and keeping in view those signals, because unconscious is working. This is not in your control, and is working, and you are conscious. When you have become conscious about your unconsciousness, and you know the signals, you will become intelligent. So surrealism is also stressing the fact that there should be combination of fantasy and reality. Basically, this is called absolute reality. Absolute reality. When there is a combination, then there is an amalgam of fantasy and reality, that will become absolute reality. Absolute reality is something complete, some perfection is over there when there is a combination of conscious and unconscious. Now, this is basically the aim of surrealism movement. And another thing is the Andalusian tradition. As we know that in Spain, uh, Muslims ruled over Spain, Arabs ruled over Spain, especially Umayyad. So Andalusian art or tradition related with the Arabs, and there are many folk lores in Arab. So 5 years past, basically, you see that is about Andalusian tradition, Arab tradition, and we can say that it is about folklore and it is about Arab custom, traditions, and culture. So there are two dominant elements in this drama when 5 years pass: uh, surrealism and Andalusian tradition. Basically, this writer, uh, Lorca, he was he, basically he was brought up in Andalusia before he joined dynasty in Granada. He was brought up in Indonesia there because his parents migrated into Indonesia, and he was brought up over there, and therefore we can say that he had got lot of influence on his life, Andalusian tradition, Arab tradition, we can say. So when there is a combination of conscious and unconscious, there is absolute reality, and Sigmund Freud basically he is in the favor of absolute reality. Now he is saying that we should not be only rational. Conscious means rational. What is going surrounding you, what is going outside, and what you are conscious of that, because you see that you use your five senses. Consciousness means when you use your five senses and you become aware of things all around you. But unconsciousness is working, and you must have signals. You must get signals out of your unconsciousness, because unconsciousness is something about your past, it's something about your yesterday, something about your 5 years back. So if unconsciousness is giving you signals, it means that it is working, and you can take good signals from your unconsciousness, and if you want to achieve absolute reality. So absolute reality is not possible. We cannot achieve absolute reality. To some extent, there is a harmony of life. When 5 years pass, tells a tale about a young man trying to grasp what is ahead of him while lost in what is behind. So as we know that we in life are encountering what is before us, and when we are face to face what is ahead of us, and just we leave behind what is behind us. So it means that what is behind it is the past, so what is ahead of us is the future. So when we talk about life, basically it is a combination of past and future, but we bring that past and future in present. We think about past while being in present moment, and at the same time we think about future while in that the present has got importance, because it connects us it relates us with our past, and at the same time, it relates us to our future. So this is, you see, whenever we look ahead, we should not forget what is left, what has left behind. So we should, it may be these signals of unconsciousness. Unconsciousness is giving us signals about the past. It may be giving us signals about the future, but we should look ahead. But at the same time, we should not ignore what is left behind. So here it is the story of a young person who is looking ahead, who is encountering his future, but he is getting away from his past, or that what is behind him. So when 5 years pass, it is called impossible comedy. Now, as we know that impossible comedy in the sense that, as I have already just explained it to you, when we say that it is not possible to have absolute truth, it is not possible. There are many circumstances, there are many events in the play. You can't see them as there is a possibility of these things. As we know that there is a probability possibility. When we talk about probability possibility, okay, things are happening. When we say that there is improbability possibility, now it means things will not become possible. So you can say that there is a comedy, but it's impossible comedy in the sense that there are certain circumstances, there are certain events that cannot be probable. 3 acts and 5 scenes in this play. There are 3 acts and 5 scenes in this play. This is a story of young man encountering the pain of love, and he broods about his future. Now, there are two basically. Generally, I'm talking about when we read the play, we come to know about this young man. We come to know about the characters, we come to know about the scenes, and we come to know about the problems in detail. But this young man is encountering pain and love, and he thinks about, he contemplates about his future. As we know that whenever we are living, whenever we are very much there in life, we are basically facing the problem in present. Whatever the problem we have in present moment, in present circumstances, we are just facing it. Suppose we are in suffering, and but at the same time we are giving it importance or not, but at the same time we are thinking about future, because we have got dreams, we have got ambition, we have got hope. So we think about our future, but at the same time we can't ignore the present, the present we have, whether it is sufferable, or you see that there are happy moments. So past and future coexist in present. This is important aspect of the plays of Lorca. Past and present coexist in future. So it means that in present moment, you cannot ignore past and future at the same time. When we talk about past, we talk about memories, we talk about rememberings, we talk about reminiscence. And when we talk about future, uh, yes, exactly, we talk about our dreams, we talk about hope, and we talk about progress and development, and we talk about the future outcome of our ambitions, and the thinking, the planning. We have desires, and we hope that we will have our culmination of our desires, culmination of our hope, and everything will be fine. We are hopeful about our future. So past and present, basically past and future, basically they coexist in present. The present is very important because you know that in present moment the past memories comes, and then the future. We are thinking about future while being in that present moment. When present, we exist in present. This novel, sorry, this drama is about homosexual awakening, reckoning, and torture of life. Whenever you recall something, whenever you recall past memories, and when something that is awkward, because you know that when the person has got homosexual feeling or awakening, this is something awkward, this is something guilt, this is something impossible, this is something improbable, but people just they are thinking over it. So this play is about all these things. Yes. Yes, to some extent, the play, we are talking about prologue. In the very beginning, the dramatist introduced the production and implored the audience to use their imagination. Basically, in the very beginning, a dramatist requests the audience to use their imagination, because this is again impossible comedy. And what is happening in the first act? A young man's marriage to his fiancée, who he only met once, has been delayed for 5 years. When 5 years pass, in the interim, three spectators haunt his library. An old man who sees all time, a drunk man who only sees the present, and the friend who wants to stop time. The young man's typist interrupts these spirits to confess her love for him, and is subsequently turned out of the house. The young man's servant, John, warns the young man of a gathering storm, and two other disquieting figures break into his house from another dimension, a dead boy and a dead cat. Basically, this is not a traditional story, as we know that there is the element of surrealism in it. So there is a blend of fantasy. There is a blend of you can say that reality and fantasy. So there is element of fantasy and reality. So in the very beginning, the writer, the dramatist request the audience to use their imagination. So it means that this is not traditional story. This is not a chain-like structure of the plot. You can say that this is about impossible thing. This is about fantasy. This is there is a blend of consciousness and unconsciousness. As we know that in consciousness there is a love, there is an old man, and then you can say that there is a dead boy and dead cat. You can say that to some extent there is a blend of fantasy and reality. So we when we go through the play, we come to know about its theme, we come to know about everything what is happening over there. The second act, generally speaking, after a steamy love scene between the football player and the fiancée, the young man finally arrives 5 years later to meet his bride. Their reunion is cold and bitter, and she eventually escaped with the footballer, leaving the young man alone. So you can say that here he meets his fiancée after 5 years. Mannequin wearing the bride's unworn wedding gown comes to life and demands he seeks the love of typist who he turned away years ago. So again, this situation is there. You can say this is happening all in second act. So it means that the young man meets his beloved, his fiancée, after 5 years, and but when 5 years had elapsed, 5 years have passed. So she develops a love for a footballer, and she elopes with him, and she goes away with him, that footballer. So it means then man is left alone. Uh, act The third act, Harley Quinn. Now this is the person is a clown, a person is a joker, welcomes us deep into dream, represented as a surreal forest near a circus full of souls searching for the lost loves, such as destitute countless in the mask. Uh, खस्ता हाल, destitute का मतलब है कि the people who suffers. The young man desperately searches for the typist who once showed him affection, but upon finding her and confessing his love, she reveals she cannot be with him until 5 more years pass. But the young man knows he is out of time, and she then turns to stone. Now, as we know that this is impossible that someone turns to stone. This is another example of surrealism literature. Whenever you combine this uh, fantasy, impossible thing, uh, and reality. The young man returns home when three card players play him in a fatal hand of poker, which he loses. When forced to expose his ace of hearts, he is left alone to die, crying out for any man. Basically, what is here in the play? There is this is not a traditional type of a story. The man basically he has no interest in love, and he is passing his life, and that he comes to his fancy, his beloved, after 5 years. But he is a strange and odd sort of person because uh, he thinks other things in his life. And when 5 years have passed, when he interacts, when he comes across his beloved, she is not his, and then she runs away with another person. So finally, you can say that he regrets. So this is, to some extent, overview of this drama in simple words. The first act you can, because there are 3 acts and there are 5 scenes, because after reading the play we come to know about uh, this the theme of the play, and we will be in a better position to evaluate this drama. Yes, please open your mics, and you may ask me question. Can you see the first slide? Yes.
Sir,
Yes, I can see you. Now, this is after Kafka letters to his father. We have started Federico Garcia Lorca. Yes, you are seeing the first slide. Yes, is there any question? Yes, yes, you are looking the first slide. As you can see the first slide.
yes, sir, we can see
Yes.
the first slide.
This is introduction about writer. This is introduction about writer. This is introduction of his work. To some extent, I have introduced him to you, and this is theme of his writings. As we know that he is a poet, drama. playwright, dramatist, and prose writer. So these are the themes of his writings. We can, because he talks about the tragedy of life, and then he blends fantastic and real elements in order to achieve the absolute truth, as surrealist basically they are talking about. So we are going to read this his drama that when 5 years pass. As we know that there are certain elements I have discussed these to you, and this is again you can say that there are these elements, and this is a play. Naturally, we come to know about this is to some extent overview of this play, uh, overview of the first act, and then the second act, what is happening over there, and the third act, because there are three acts. When you read the play, I will provide you the PDF file, and whenever you read the play, you come to know about the characters, you come to know about the story. But we can say that this is not a traditional story. What is happening out there? Because the readers should imagine, they should use their imagination in order to understand the story. But something impossible, improbable is happening out there in the play. So uh, we should use our intelligence to understand this play. But this play is about the pain of life. This play is about the future. This play is about the young man and his homosexual awakening. And because he is loser in the love, so when we say that he is facing pain of life, he is loser in the love, and his fancy and his beloved rejects him, and she goes with that sportsman, and she rejects him. And then because you see that he is over there after 5 years, he comes across with his beloved, and then but he loses her. So we come to know about that. So there is a dead boy, there is a dead cat. Basically, there is a supernatural element, as we know that there is a fantasy, and he combines that fantasy with reality in order to achieve this absolute truth. Absolute truth can't be achievable, but he is trying to combine these elements. So this is the first act, and this is the second act as the story proceed further. And then this is the action, the plot in the third act. What is happening in the third act? In the last, the person, the boy, the young man is left alone. So he is about to die. He is alone, and he is crying out. So this is all happening in this book. Yes, any question, please? Yes, yes, Sania, your mic is on. Yes, anyone? Yes, Asia.
Uh, yes, sir.
I think I should share with you through WhatsApp, and you can look at the slides, and you can read these slides, and then in the next session you can discuss with me. Someone has told me that I should go through Kafka again in the next session. So I would like to ask you whether we will discuss Kafka, or we will discuss display in next session. Because you just tell me. जी, हम काफका डिस्कस करें या इसी को ही हम लोग जो है वो कंटिन्यू करें?
Sir, as you wish, sir. For me, Kafka is very much clear.
काफका क्लियर है आपको?
जी सर, मुझे तो वो क्लियर हो गया था लास्ट क्लास में।
चलें ठीक है, उसको फिर नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम लोग जो है, नेक्स्ट जो क्लास मैं लूँगा यूरोपियन लिटरेचर का, तो उसमें हो सकता है कि हम काफका को दोबारा ले लें या दोबारा रिवाइज कर लेंगे। लेकिन जो है आपने ट्राई टू फोकस ऑन दिस। अभी मैं थोड़ी देर बाद आपके साथ शेयर कर रहा हूँ, आप इसको थोड़ा देख लीजिएगा जी। और ये स्लाइड्स आपके सामने हैं। बेसिकली मैंने जो है इसकी जो डिटेल्स हैं, I haven't shared details with you because this is to some extent the introduction of this writer, his work, and themes of his oral themes of his writing. This is the play we are going to start. It's about the play as well, and this is the first act, and this one is second, and this one is third one. And then after reading the play, we come to know about the theme, and then we will discuss it in detail. There will be evaluation of his theme, his idea, the basic idea running in the play, and then the characters, and then we come to know all the subjects that are very much there. जी, तो हम लोग इस प्ले को कंटिन्यू करें या जो है कोई और राइटर जो है, एक और राइटर है, आप अगर चाहेंगे तो हम लोग उसको इंट्रोड्यूस करेंगे। जस्ट गिव मी योर थॉट। जी, मुझे बताएं कि इसको हम डिस्कस कर लें या जो नेक्स्ट राइटर है हम लोग नेक्स्ट सेशन में उसको डिस्कस कर लें। प्लीज टेल मी।
सर, इसी को ही डिस्कस कर लेते हैं।
अच्छा, इसी को ही डिस्कस कर लेंगे और फिर जो है आई वांट टू हैव योर क्वेश्चंस, क्योंकि आप जब तक मुझसे सवाल नहीं करेंगे, क्वेश्चंस नहीं करेंगे, तो वो फिर ये है कि मैं समझाता रहूँगा, समझाता जाऊँगा, तो उसका कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है। तो यू मस्ट हैव योर क्वेश्चंस। तो किसी भी स्लाइड में से जो चीज़ आपको समझ भी नहीं आई, इफ़ यू आर अनएबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, इफ यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड, देन आस्क मी क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम दैट स्लाइड। तो उस स्लाइड से आप मुझसे जो है क्वेश्चंस कर लें। दिस इज द सेकेंड लास्ट राइटर we are doing it, and then there will be the last writer। तो उसके बाद जो है एक और राइटर है, उसके बाद जो है ना ये हमारा कंप्लीट हो जाएगा। लेकिन हम लोग किसी भी वक्त किसी भी राइटर को हम लोग उसके प्ले को हम लोग समझने के लिए जो है उसको रिवाइज हम किसी भी वक्त कर सकते हैं। तो हम लोग जो है नेक्स्ट सेशन में जो है इसी को ही जो है हम लोग लेकर आएंगे। लेकिन ये है कि मेकअप